Hey everybody, welcome back to Limestone Fishing. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, more and more people than ever have turned to fishing as their way to get out of their house and enjoy the outdoors. But maybe not all of those people have ever gone fishing in their life, or maybe they haven't gone fishing in years since they were a kid. Because of that, I decided to put together this 9-part series of short videos to help get you out and catching fish. Welcome to the complete beginner's guide to fishing. In this episode, we're talking about fishing line, terminal tackle, and tools that you need to have with you when you're out fishing. So you've got your fishing license, you've got your rod and your reel, but what do you do if your rod doesn't have any line on it? Not all combos and almost all reels that you buy on their own won't come pre-spooled. So before we get into what kind of line you're gonna buy, I want to talk just a little bit about how fishing line is rated. Most fishing lines are rated in pound test or kilogram test. If you're in United States or Canada, you're probably going to be talking about pound test. So for example, you have a fishing line rated at 8-pound test. All that means is that that fishing line will be able to hold up 8 pounds of weight before it will break. Oftentimes, fishing line manufacturers will underrate their line just a little bit. You don't have to worry about buying braided line or fluorocarbon line or lead core line or anything like that. There's only one type of line that you as the beginning angler will need to worry about, and that is monofilament. Monofilament was used for years and years and years before braided line and fluorocarbon line ever came out, and there's still a lot of applications that people will only use monofilament for. It has a decent amount of stretch compared to, for example, braided line or fluorocarbon, which have no stretch if we're talking about braid, and fluorocarbon, which has very minimal, if no stretch at all. But monofilament line is all you need. It is the cheapest kind of line, and so it's just gonna help you save a few bucks, especially if you're just starting out. You can go to somewhere like Walmart or Canadian Tire or whatever your favorite tackle store is, and you can often find big spools of monofilament line for just a few bucks each. This one is Eagle Claw brand. I got this at Walmart for, I think it was like $4 or $5. And this is an 800-yard spool. So that's a lot of line, especially if you're just starting out. You might get a lot of tangles in your reel, and you might have to cut some of the line out, and then you don't feel so bad if you have to replace it more often than you'd like. Now the next question is, what pound test do you get? For monofilament line, you will be safe with anywhere between 6 to 8 pound mono. That is heavy enough line for you as a new angler to catch most kinds of fish from the bank. If money is no option, you could even go up and get a whole spool of fluorocarbon. The difference between monofilament and fluorocarbon is that while even both of them, when they're in the water, are very difficult to see, fluorocarbon will be near invisible to the fish. And sometimes fish can be a little bit finicky, and if they can see your line, it might affect how they bite your lure or your bait. But for you, you don't need to worry about that so much. Go out and buy yourself a nice big cheap spool of monofilament line, either somewhere between 6 to 8 or even 10 pound test. But 6 to 8 pound test will be the sweet spot for you. Now we're going to talk about terminal tackle. And for those of you who don't know what terminal tackle is, all it is whatever is connected on your line. So everything from jig heads to weights, to just regular straight up hooks, bobber stops, barrel swivels, all that stuff. Anything that's not a lure or bait that connects to your line is considered terminal tackle. You, as a new angler, only need to worry about a few things. You have to get yourself some hooks. You want to get some small octopus hooks or bait holder hooks. You want to get yourself a few bobbers, and you want to get yourself some sinkers. This particular style of sinker is an egg sinker, and you can usually get these in packages of assorted sizes and weights, and they're usually no more than a couple bucks each. And that's all you need to know about terminal tackle. You just need a few things to get started. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive, and that's it. So the last thing we're going to talk about in this video is some tools that you need to have with you when you're out fishing. This is usually what I carry with me when I'm out, either on the bank, on my kayak, or on my boat. So we're going to first start with the most simplest one of all. This is a pair of nail clippers. You can buy specific brands of snips, but basically you want to have a pair of snips like this, or even just nail clippers. And these are really great small compact tools that you can carry around with you in your pocket, and you just use those to cut your line. The next tool you're going to want is a pair of pliers. Sometimes if you hook a fish, it might be a little bit deeper in their mouth, or if it's a really small fish, you won't be able to get your fingers in there to get a hold of the hook to pull it out. So that's where a pair of these really thin needle nose pliers come into play. Or if you got a bigger fish or the hook is buried pretty deep in the fish and these ones just aren't cutting it, they're losing their grip, you can get a pair of big heavy duty pliers like this one, and that just gives you a better grip on the hook so you can turn it and get the hook out of the fish. Now, you don't really need to go and buy a big heavy duty pair of needle nose pliers for fishing. If you have just like some regular needle nose pliers at home, these do just fine. For me, one of the best tools that I carry with me that alleviates the need to carry all this other stuff is my multi-tool. So this is my needle nose pliers. This has a little pair of scissors on it. I use those to cut my tag ends and anything else I need to cut. It's just really handy. It's a nice small application. You can keep it in a little sheath and carry around with you all the time. So that's it for part 3. The important thing to remember is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to buy all kinds of crazy tackle and fishing lines and tools and all that stuff. The best thing you can do is to keep it simple and keep it cheap. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that I talked about in this video, leave me a comment below and I will answer it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of the series. So I hope this video helped you out. If it did, you can click the link right here to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the future videos coming up. You can also click right here and that'll take you to the next video in the series. If you haven't seen the videos before this one, you can click right here to go back to the last video. And if you're coming here in the middle of the series and you haven't seen any of the other videos, you can click right down here to get to the first video in the series.